Hey everyone, Julia Ware here. I wanted to hop on and share a story of something that I thought was pretty interesting. It happened today. So, as many of you know, I was away last week at a conference. I was out of town. My husband was home with our two young children. And so, when I came home on Sunday, I came home and my house was just a bit in disarray. I mean, there were things out of place, right? So I'm like, okay, it's all right. I was out of town. When mama's gone, things maybe not aren't the same, right? So overlooked it, cleaned up. And then yesterday, when I came home from work, my husband had already gotten the kids off the bus. So when I come in, things are once again not quite like how they normally would be. And so today, same thing. There's a coat on the couch, there's shoes on the floor, there's hats and gloves on the dining room table, and the things in the kitchen. I mean, I could go on and on. Things were just out of place. So I said, hold up, wait a minute. So I called in my kids to the room. My husband was in the room too. And I'm like, what is going on? What do you know to be the very first thing you're supposed to do when you walk in this house? Like, why are these things out of place like this? Now, let me just give you a little bit of background on my kids. My kids, and I'm not being biased, but I think my kids are truly sweethearts. They just aim to please. It just makes their day when when they know they're just doing the right thing and just they're just so sweet. They truly are the apple of my eye, both of them. So anyway, so that's to give you a little bit of a picture of who they are. They're it's not too much that they really get in trouble for, to be quite honest. Same thing happens in school. We get that feedback from the teacher. So I thank God for having two amazing children. So today, when I called the kids in to try to find out what in the world was happening with the responsibilities and why they weren't being taken care of around the house, it became evident that that wasn't a conversation that they wanted to have. It just hurt their little hearts that I was even bringing it up to them, but it was necessary, right? So again, they want nothing more than to just please us and always make us proud. So they're constantly trying to win our praises and win our accolades, and I guess you could say win our approval too. And really, when it comes down to it, really what it boils down to is they just want to always have that feeling of being loved. Now, they're kids, so they don't get it that there's nothing that they could do that could ever stop us from loving them. Side note, isn't it amazing how, as a parent, you can get revelation of how God must see us? I know it happens to me all the time. Some of the things that I'll say to my kids, and I actually be quoting scripts. Hold on, if I could talk, that'd be great. I actually find myself quoting scripture unintentionally, and I'm like, wow, I wonder if that's how God sees me, but of course in even greater measure. So anyway, there was nothing that could ever separate the love that I have or the love that my husband and I have together for our children. So, but they're kids, right? I mean, kids are kids, so they don't always understand things fully as an adult would. So anyway, having the conversation today, and they were disappointed to be hearing me mention that things were out of place and, you're not being responsible. You know better than this. You know what you're supposed to be doing when you come in from school, and, there's no excuse. And, I've taught you these things and I know you know better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what came out of that was that, that they'd been getting different direction, right? From mommy and daddy. So mommy would say to do things one particular way, and daddy would say to do things in another particular way, or in a different order. And so what came to all of us, what we realized, and this is a good parenting nugget and a good marriage nugget too, is that there's power in agreement. There's power in agreement. So we can't be sending mixed messages. We got to be saying the same thing. We got to be sharing the same plan. We have to be sharing a consistent message. So what we took from that was, first and foremost, is that as parents, it's so important that my husband and I, and not to say that this was so minor. It really was minor. This is not really a big deal. Otherwise, I certainly wouldn't be sharing it here on social media. But the point to take away from that is that it was just a good reminder that there is power in agreement, not just in marriage, but also in parenting. So as we have a consistent message, as my husband and I have a consistent message, then we have to make sure we're sharing that with our kids. And as we share it with our kids, the second point, after number one being agreement, is to make sure that we are doing all that we can to train them and to coach them. And then this is where that habit comes in, the power of habit. As my husband and I were talking earlier, we were just saying how there's great power in habits. Have you ever stopped to think about how so many things that we do, just as individuals, are habit? We don't even have to think about it. And like I was telling my husband and kids earlier, I'm like, if we lined up the four of us right now and we said, okay, let's brush our teeth, all four of us at the same time brush our teeth, I guarantee you the four of us would have a different way of brushing our teeth. We may put the toothpaste on the toothbrush in a different way. We may brush the top of our teeth first, while another way may brush the bottom of their teeth first. One may brush, you know what I'm trying to say. Same thing with taking a shower. I mean, one may wash an arm first, another way may wash their leg first, but in the end, we all have the same outcome, right? So the point is that there's power in habit, such that when we really get things down to a science and we've got it, we don't even have to even think about it anymore. When's the last time you thought about how to actually brush your teeth or how to tie your shoe? There's power in habit, right? So we can free up our mind to be able to think about other things. So anyway, as it pertains to our children, the reason why we were bringing this up earlier is because it's a powerful thing for our children to be able to know exactly what it is they need to do. So if it's number one, the first thing is wash your hands when you come in this door from school. Get all them crummy germs off. Wash your hands. Number two, take your coat off. Hang it up. Put away your scarf and your gloves and your hat. Then take out your homework, or take your lunchbox out, clean it out, clean out your thermos, put it away. All those things. If we get them down into a nice formatted order, and it takes time to train. It takes time to coach. It wouldn't be fair to expect that we can explain how to do something one time, two times, maybe even three times, and expect that our children would get it down to habit that quickly and not go off track. That's just not realistic. So it's important to coach. It's important that as we parent, it's important that we coach and we train and we have patience. I pray for patience a lot of times. That's one of my consistent prayers is, God, Lord, give me patience. Please, Father God, in the name of Jesus. But it is so very important that as our children are learning, that we train them, we coach them. I was telling my husband earlier, because my son plays basketball and my husband helps with the coaching. And I said, just imagine if at basketball games, just imagine if the coaches, my son's waking up. Just imagine if the first couple games, the coaches are calling out the plays and instructing the players what to do. And then by the time the third, fourth, fifth game comes around, the coach just kind of sits off to the side with the parents. How crazy would that look? No, as a coach, we got to train and consistently send across the same messages and, continue to teach and coach and train, et cetera, et cetera. And it's no different with us as our children. So what was pretty amazing is that we walked away from that conversation with a better understanding. We walked away knowing that first and foremost, there's power in agreement. And second of all, there's power in habit with getting things down to the point where we don't even have to think about it. So guess what this ties into? This ties into declaring our faith. So as I've shared many times before, we do faith declarations with our children. So we make sure that they know who they are in God. So it's especially before they leave for school in the morning, we do declarations. I'm typically the one that sees them off in the morning before the bus comes. So it's typically me habits, firing off one declaration after another. I am a child of the Most High God. No hurt, harm, or danger shall come upon me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I am the head, never the tail. I am above, never beneath. I am the healed child of God. I resist all sickness and disease. Now, when I say these, I will pause in between each declaration, and my kids will repeat after me. But guess what? Beautiful thing has happened, and that is that it has become such habit for our children that they can recite these declarations like the back of their hand. They know them like not, they don't even need me anymore to actually say them for them to repeat. Really, the only reason why I do that now is because since I've got 2 kids, I just want to make sure they're, that they're not distracting to one another, such that they're saying different declarations at different times. So it just helps keep them in sync with each other. So there's great power in habit, and yes, there's great power in agreement too. So I hope and pray that this has blessed you. And I hear my son coming down the steps right now. At the time I'm doing this video, it is after midnight, but here he comes. So y'all have a blessed night. God bless. Bye.